Greetings and welcome to Wild Treasures of an Outdoorsman. My name is Peter Updike, and today I'm deer hunting in the Withlacoochee State Forest. I'm going to keep the management area to myself. I've been hunting here quite a bit. It's okay. I've seen some deer. In fact, I've got a little story to tell you. Deer hunt that I did a week ago, but before that, I suppose 2 weeks before that, my hunting buddy killed a real fine 8-pointer. I'll show you that picture at the end of the video of that deer. He killed an 8-pointer, and we were hunting together that day. In other words, we both walked into the same area, and he went this way and I went that way, and that's what we did. And we chit-chat back and forth on the cell phone, texting. And he texted me and said that he just seen a doe. And I said, okay, good deal. So I sat there for about a minute, and all of a sudden I hear, "Pah!" Well, he didn't text me that time. He called me. He was pretty excited. Samson killed himself a real fine public land 8-pointer, and I'm real proud for him, and it was a great day, and I enjoyed being a part of that. But the thing that he told me was that he was going into an area to hunt, and he came across a scrape, and he had to fight the temptation to ignore the scrape and go hunt where he wanted to hunt. Instead, he did the right thing, and he hunted in view of the scrape. In fact, I think the only tree he had to get on was almost right over it. And he told me that the doe came by and walked past the scrape, not really paying it any attention. And then he could hear the buck coming. It was grunting. And grunt, 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 grunt. And it took a good minute for the deer to pass him. And when he saw it was a good legal buck, well, he shot it, put a good shot on it, killed him dead. Yeah, that had to be real exciting to see that doe come by and then hear that deer grunting. I thought to myself, wow, that's pretty awesome. I've heard deer grunt, but not exactly in that scenario. So I was hunting here about 200 yards that way. I was hunting it this morning. And it's a bad spot in the sun. It's a good spot to sit early in the morning before the sun gets high. But once 10 o'clock comes around, you're in the sun. Well, you got to get down and find another spot. And that's what I've done today. I was in that same spot this morning. Anyway, I was sitting there the other day, and in a theme that I've been seeing play out in my hunting. My hunting experiences this year is that the deer just can't seem to help themselves, that they've got to show up right underneath my stand. Why is that? Why every deer? I've seen like 10 deer here, and all but one right underneath my stand. I'm like, I got all of this I can see out here. How come they're not out there? Why are they right here? Anyway, long story short, I was sitting over in that other spot, and doe came out, and I have my backpack here, and I carry my lunch and my emergency kit and game bag and knickknacks, GoPro in my backpack, and I have it attached to a rope so when I get hungry and get ready to have lunch, I can pull it on up to my stand. But I had it laying on the ground, and a deer came behind me. I could hear something coming. But I thought, what the world? And she come right by me and stopped and looked at that backpack and smelt of it. Thought that's kind of interesting. She kind of smelt of it, but she really didn't alert to it or alarm or anything. She took off and went on. I watched her leave. And I was sitting there thinking, what in the world? She looking at that backpack like it was something important. Well, that's when I heard it. Yep, I sat right there. I heard a real faint burp. I said, is that what I thought it was? Burp. I heard it again. I said, oh, here come a buck. Here come a buck. Now, she wasn't acting like she was running from something. She was moving along, but she wasn't, like I said, she took the time to look at that backpack. But again, it was right underneath my tree stand. Here come this buck. I could hear him coming. He was behind me, and these API stands, I mean, if there's any argument for a saddle, it's that. I was like, man, I wish I was set up in a saddle right now. That deer come out of the woods, out of the swamp, and he got right underneath my stand. He got right here, and he stopped, and I'm looking straight ahead, right? I think to myself, holy smokes, there's a buck right underneath my stand. I'm going to turn around, I'm going to look at him, and I don't know what I'm fitting to see. Like, holy smokes. So I turn real slowly, and he looks up, and he sees me, and he's got these big, long spikes. I mean, he might have been legal, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But the first thought that came to my mind when I saw that deer, that's not the one for me. He wheeled on around, and he went off and over here and stopped and looked at me. He gave me the old look back, and I put my crosshairs on him. I could have shot him a half a dozen times. He kind of milled around out there. And I think that's the third buck I've seen this year. I saw one in Croom, and I saw a little bitty devil deer in Ocala. That one came right underneath my stand too. He come running right up here and looked up at me. And then this one. And nothing like what Samson shot, So anyway, that deer went off, and it was a great experience. And I have experienced similar things, through my hunting career. I've not killed a whole lot of deer, but I've killed I think I've killed 35 bucks. And it's never gotten old, that experience, or that deer comes running right on up. And yeah, if I had shot that deer, and I thought about this a lot since then, if I'd have shot that deer, my thoughts are that I probably would not have been proud of it. I would not have been proud, even if it was a 10-inch spike. Let's just say it was a legal spike, 10-inch main beam. That's what he's got to have. He didn't have no points, but he had heavy antlers. They were heavy and big, thick. They weren't little old spindly things like a pencil. They were like a 1-inch pipe or 1.25-inch pipe. They were heavy antlers. He might have been more than a 2.5-year-old deer. He might have been an older deer. But it doesn't matter. What matters is I had a good experience. I enjoyed seeing him. And I didn't ruin the experience by shooting something I, number one, wasn't sure of. Number two, something I didn't want to shoot in spite of all the pressure you get from other people. When you going to kill one? Where you go out hunting and you don't never get one? You don't kill a deer. And I'm like, I think to myself, I'll kill a deer when I get good and ready. And you can put any word in front of that you want to, but that's just the way I feel about it. I come here for the experience, and when you think about experiences and you think about life and looking back on things, looking back on deer and turkey hunting, and remembering long after the venison is gone, okay? Because people will say, well, I just wanted some meat, and I respect that. I really do. I respect that. But I don't want meat that bad, okay? That's just my personal feelings on the thing. And, yeah, it's just, I think of deer that I missed with my bow on public land. Good bucks, right? On a quota hunt. I hate to think about it. Deer kept me up at night. And turkeys, I fouled them up. They came in and they gobbling, and I just screwed it up, right? And long after the turkey's been fried, long after the venison has been consumed, you're going to remember something. And if there is no venison, if there is no turkey to be fried, but you still have that experience, well, that has value. That's worth something. And coming here, hunting with Samson, seeing him kill that 8-point buck, and being here. A lot of ticks here today. I think could it be they're falling out of the tree on me? I don't know. For some reason, I got ticks all over me. But yeah, the experience, that has value. Meat has a little bit of value, especially if you go to Publix, right? You go to the Publix supermarket, you'll see what kind of value they have. But really and truthfully, the wildlife have more value than that. Wildlife has real value for me. And yeah, I live it and I respect it, and that's just the way I'm going to live my life. That's the way I'm going to hunt. And I haven't always been that way. I've gotten that way since I've gotten older. Used to be I didn't care. If it was brown, it was down, right? What did he say? His hair, it was fair. Brown down. I can't remember what the other one was. But yeah, we used to shoot all kinds of stuff, but we don't do that no more. I don't do that no more. So this is where I'm hunting. Let me show you my setup. Look at that, man. Yeah, that swamp goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And I like hunting this habitat because I didn't see any rubs till I got here. In other words, I didn't see any up yonder. I come in here and walk this edge, and all of a sudden I'm seeing rubs. It seems like the deer like the nastiness of this place more than they do the beauty of, say, this back here. So that's real pretty. I like them pine trees and palmettos and gallberry. I like all that, as opposed to this. But it don't matter. What matters is what the deer like. So I'm thinking that this is probably an area that they use, and this is ball cypress swamp, and it goes a long way. It funnels and it carries a path. You could, if you were to follow this on the map, it goes from one end of this place to the other and back again, and it's a long, deep swamp. And there's a big old 8-pointer in here somewhere, and I'm after him. I may not get him, but that's okay. I'm here for the experience. All right, we love you guys. Don't forget, we're gonna do the wild turkey extravaganza at True Heart Ranch. It's the first Saturday. I think it's like the of February. I have to check the date. It's either the last Saturday of January. It's right there at the 1st or the 2nd. Anyway, you can look it up, True Heart Ranch. I'll be there. I'll be peddling copies of my book, Wild Treasures of an Outdoorsman. The channel is dedicated to my book, Wild Treasures of an Outdoorsman. So I see I got a little cut right there. I cut myself coming in here. A briar just reached out and grabbed me by the nose, ripped the flesh out of my nose. Ow, hurt like crazy. Brush Bay. All right, we love you guys. Talk to you soon. See you. Bye.